Imagine you are on a sea voyage with your crewmates sailing across the Atlantic sometime in the 18th century. You and your buddies are currently in the middle of the vast ocean at night, preparing for some rest, when suddenly encounter a creature so huge and terrifying that it could drag ships to the depths of the ocean. A creature with tentacles that could wrap around almost anything and crush it with ease. A creature that inspired countless legends of sea monsters and haunted the nightmares of sailors for centuries. This is the myth of the Kraken, a fearsome beast that supposedly lurked in the dark waters of the North Atlantic. You and your crew nevertheless get to rest in peace. The infamous Kraken is now most notably known as a giant octopus or squid-like creature and had many enormous tentacles. More specifically, 8. This sea beast appeared in multiple folklore and tales throughout time, and is one of the most well-known sea monsters of all time. But what if this myth was not entirely a fiction? What if these fictional sea monsters were not too distant from reality? What if there were creatures that could match these monsters in size, strength, and appearance? Creatures that eluded human observation for most of history, but occasionally revealed themselves through either scars on the bodies of its prey or horror-style video footage captured somewhere in the absolute depths of the ocean.
Thing with these insane long appendages. Look at this. Look at the fucking length of those tentacles.
Enter the abyssal zone, where the deepest and darkest mysteries of the ocean lie. A place where natural phenomena start looking extraterrestrial. A place where we may find the true inspirations for century-old legends. So without any further ado, let's dive deep into the diaries of the sea monsters from the abyss. In 1925, a sperm whale was caught and killed near the South Shetland Islands of Antarctica by a whaling company. Killing a whale was not a very whale-sized deal at that time, as whaling was a very well-practiced tradition in those days. Well, what stands out is that inside of the digestive tract of this specimen, 2 giant arm crowns were found. These parts were handed over to a person going by the name of E. Hamilton, who was heading an investigation program on the whales of South Shetland. He understood these specimens being worth further analysis, so he donated these specimens to the zoological department of the British Museum, where these parts were analyzed by a zoologist named Guy Cobham Robson. After a thorough analysis of these specimens, Robson realized that this isn't just your regular, grumpy, uncharismatic, boring squid, but an absolute mystical Chad, and had concluded that these specimens were very big as compared to almost all other squids. Since each species has a unique type of arm crown, researchers were convinced that these remains belonged to a new type of large squid, which was different from even the giant squid, which was discovered way back in 1857. He named this animal Mesonicotutus hamiltoni, after E. Hamilton, who donated its specimens, or as it is more popularly called, the colossal squid. According to research, the colossal squid can grow up to 9 to 10 meters in length and span up to 1.6 meters in width. Not as big as your blue whale, but astonishingly in its same league. To put that into perspective, it's almost as long and wide as a school bus. The colossal squid looks quite distinct as compared to the majority of squids. The most distinguishable being its large mantle and circular fin at the back, and the presence of hooks instead of suckers in its tentacles. It can weigh up to 700 kilos, but the heaviest specimen caught weighed up to 500 kilos. Another noteworthy thing about the squid is its eye, which is the largest of any other animal in the entire world, with the size of a football, having a diameter of 30 to 40 centimeters. This makes these squids have large and reflective eyesights, capable of collecting every tiny ray of light in the deep and dark abyss. The colossal squid can also change its color, but it's not so distinguishable as it can switch colors between pink and deep red only. These giant proportions make it no less than a sea monster, and we haven't even talked about its behavior yet. The first proper discovery of the colossal squid was in 1981. In the Ross Sea, a Soviet team had caught a colossal squid specimen with a length of 4 meters. But as of now, there has only been one footage of the colossal squid, which was broadcasted by the Discovery Channel on February 2007. It shows fishermen sailing on the seas of Antarctica doing their normal work when they find a colossal squid caught on the hook of their boat, something no one had ever caught before. An alive, breathing colossal squid on tape. Although there has been no footage of this animal in its wild habitat, this footage shows us how a colossal squid looks alive and breathing. Now, some may question as to how did this squid grow up to be so buff, and people accusing it of taking the sea juice and reaching unrealistic body standards. However, the most likely answer to this is because of the place it lives, in the abyssal zone more than 2 kilometers deep, which causes a phenomenon called deep sea gigantism. This phenomenon causes invertebrate species like crustaceans, cephalopods and isopods to grow up to extreme measures. Some examples are the Japanese spider crab, giant isopod, the oarfish, the giant squid, and the colossal squid. Though this phenomena has not yet been completely understood by experts, as it occurs in the depths of the world where it is quite difficult to reach. Some explanations say that the increase in size has something to do with the lower temperature and food scarcity in these depths of the ocean, while it can also be because of the large amounts of dissolved oxygen in the abyssal ocean. The size of colossal squid can also be large due to it being a squid. This is because squids have lived in deep parts of the ocean pretty much since it first appeared on the planet. Due to this, there weren't many predators to compete with, and this led to them evolving into giants, since it was just easy food everywhere. Talking about foods, they feed on animals like the Chaetognata, which look like transparent sea worms, the Patagonian toothfish, and other small squids that use bioluminescence in the deep ocean. Now, the colossal squid may be the biggest squid, but it is definitely not the biggest sea creature. This is where whales, more specifically sperm whales, come into play. They are the largest known toothed carnivore and can grow up to 18 meters in length and weigh up to 57 metric tons. Again, not as big or heavy as the blue whale. Sperm whales live in the southern oceans too, at a depth of 1 kilometer below surface, but they prefer hunting deeper. They are a well-known predator for the giant squid, but quite evidently they'll also hunt colossal squids. We do not have any actual footage of these fascinating fights, but we can surely try to recreate it based on evidence. An adult sperm whale swims deep into the abyssal zone, away from its original habitat, in order to have its favorite meal. A large squid, like the colossal squid. But the squid is not under any obligation to lose this battle, for it is much faster than the whale and has razor-sharp tentacles, which can blind the whale if utilized correctly. The whale uses echolocation, aka sound waves, to search for its prey, like a radar under the sea. They both are now aware of each other's presence. The squid uses its razor-sharp claws to injure the whale. And also, it is aware of the fact that it doesn't have much chance of defeating a 60-ton giant all by itself, and escapes at the perfect moment. The squid has escaped its enemy. However, the sperm whale has two advantages. Its sheer bulk mass is one, but the other is that it hunts in packs, making it extremely difficult for these large squids to defeat them. This is also backed up by the fact that the colossal squid beaks are found inside sperm whales washed ashore, like the ones Hamilton discovered. The colossal squid is mysterious, but we still have some basic knowledge about it. Meanwhile, the abyssal zone where it lives is far more mysterious and intriguing. Between 3 kilometers and 6 kilometers deep in the ocean, the pressure is very high, so the animals have no bones. They use bioluminescence, large eyes, or camouflage to survive in the dark. Squids are among the most fascinating creatures of the abyssal zone. And yes, we have talked about the largest squid, but there are more visually frightening ones lurking in these depths. This is not just a figment of my world-class animation skills, but it's a 100% real squid, called the Magnapinna squid. The Magnapinna or big fin squid deserves an entire video of its own. This almost looks like something from the game Subnautica, and is the ultimate thalassophobic nightmare fuel. Watch the video. The current measurements are done with the help of videotapes of the squid that we have, most of which are taken by ROVs or submersibles. The most recent sighting was taken in November 2021 in the Gulf of Mexico in an oil rig. An ROV had captured the elusive and creepy looking Magnapinna. This footage was taken at depths of 2,400 meters. According to experts, this one might be just a juvenile. In 2019, an observation in the Philippines sighted this squid at an insane depth of 6,212 meters deep, which goes even beyond the abyssal zone, where it was supposed to live. Hence now researchers believe this squid might be one that lives the deepest among any others into the hadal zone, which extends beyond the abyssal zone from 6,000 to 11,000 meters. This zone comprises the deep sea trenches at deep parts of the world. To put that into perspective, if we were to put Mount Everest upside down into the ocean, its tip would be somewhere in the hadal zone. This squid has a wide or big fin with extremely long and skinny tentacles. Some of its tentacles are bent with knees at right angles. The magna pinna can grow up to 6 to 8 meters in total length, though remember that this measurement is not completely accurate, as it is difficult to get in the deep sea and measure a big fin squid. Hence there are 0 physical specimens. This squid doesn't have suckers on its tentacle, and it hunts prey by whipping its elongated tentacles to its prey and then consume it. It is also likely to use its long arms to grab food from the ocean floor, but we aren't sure about what it eats. It is a squid that probably consumes crustaceans or krill. This squid has a lot of mystery to it as it lives at such depths, but is no doubt quite an interesting and unique type of sea creature that we have never seen before, and really shows how much of the ocean is yet to be discovered. We cannot talk about the abyssal zone without mentioning the brand ambassador of this place, the anglerfish. With countless film and media adaptations like Pixar's Finding Nemo, the anglerfish is one of the most iconic and fascinating creatures of the deep sea. It has a long and sharp fang that protrudes from its head, a bioluminescent lure that attracts prey called an esca, and a huge mouth that seems to devour almost anything that comes close. The anglerfish size typically varies from 2 to 8 centimeters in length, but some can grow up to 1 meter long and weigh up to 50 kilos, thus making it a relatively large deep-sea creature. And this is where its fang and lure come to its advantage, which it uses for hunting fish, crustaceans, and even other anglerfish, which are smaller in size. The weirdest thing, however, about these fish is their breeding process, which essentially involves the male to literally fuse into the female, dying in the process. Maybe that's better. Talk about commitment. Anyways, it is rarely seen by humans, and only a few specimens have been collected or photographed. If we want to add smaller but outwardly looking animals to our sea monster list, we must add another squid, the vampire squid. The first thing to note is that the vampire squid isn't a squid, nor is it a vampire. It has its own group called Vampiromorphidae. The vampire squid has its tentacles attached in a web-like mouth with razor-sharp teeth on the supposed tentacles. It can grow up to 30 centimeters at max. The eye diameter grows to 2.5 centimeters, which can appear blue or red depending on the lighting. Its eye-to-body proportion is the largest of any creature in the entire world. Going by its name, it does not feast on blood, but it's a filter feeder, which means that it eats small crustaceans, plankton and krill, and also snow, using a filter. It has a pretty cool feature of folding its mouth outwards and putting its remaining body inside the mouth to create a blanket of teeth. This is the defense mechanism used by these squids. Although they may not be insanely large, they are an interesting looking creature. Squids are the most predominant large animals which live in the depths of the abyss. Hence they have been featured the most in this video. However, that doesn't mean that they are the only bizarre creatures that exist here. Eels are also pretty fascinating, as they share multiple similarities with sea serpents, which are a snake-like ocean animal that featured in Mesopotamian, Greek, and Abrahamic mythology. The gulper eel is one of the most bizarre and mysterious creatures of the deep sea. It has a huge mouth that can swallow prey much larger than itself, a long and thin tail that glows in the dark, and a pouch-like lower jaw that can expand like a pelican, hence giving its other name, the pelican eel. The gulper eel is around 76 centimeters long and weighs around 9 kilos. Therefore, it is a relatively small deep-sea creature, and this is where its large mouth comes to its play, which it utilizes for hunting fish, smaller squid, and crustaceans. It is rarely seen by humans, and only a few specimens have been captured or filmed. The last and final squid is the squid that is the most famous one from the group, the giant squid. Since most of the people watching may already know what this is, I won't be talking about it as much. It has similar characteristics of the colossal squid, only is lighter and longer due to its tentacles. The giant squid can span up to 13 meters in length. It looks like a normal squid except it is huge. It feeds on fishes and other squids. It is also the #1 enemy of the sperm whale. The squid is believed to be the reason for the creation of the Tales of the Kraken monster. Besides these animals, there are some other animals that perfectly fit the description of a sea monster. Some examples are the viperfish, barrel eye, and Praia dubia, all not very visually distinct from some sea monster. Still, these are not as large or bizarre as the ones we have discussed before, but still we can discuss them in a later video. Mysteries such as the bloop, though most likely debunked, still questions people whether there is a giant living in these seas. After all, deep-sea gigantism can make creatures grow to extreme sizes. Some believe that extinct creatures could still be alive. The most debated creature in this theory is the infamous giant shark, Megalodon. Although this is a very far-fetched theory, we can find examples of creatures thought to be extinct still alive. A fish called coelacanth had been presumed to be extinct around 80 million years ago, but had been rediscovered in 1938 from the South African coast. Our oceans are still mostly undiscovered, and it is due to the vastness of the ocean, but also due to the extreme conditions the deeper we go. And hence maybe some parts of the oceans are perhaps best left undiscovered. There are numerous possibilities of there being anything below our waters, and not just something big, but also small. Not only scary, but also beautiful. Not just aggressive, but friendly. And that is the speciality of the waters of our planet that we should appreciate. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.